Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. And we join you after what was just a wonderful Sunday afternoon for you, Jet and Giant fans. Okay, just another one of those special New York football afternoons, the kind you can only get in October in New York. Let's flip a coin, see where we want to start. All right, let's start with the Jets. Now, we've all watched Aaron Glenn's proclamations. We watched them from the preseason. We watched them from when he got the job. We watched them at the early part of the season. We've heard him talk about how mistakes would not be tolerated. We have watched him cut players. He has cut players on more than one occasion. We all know that last week he peeled the paint off the rooms, off the walls of the rooms by screaming at his team after the loss. Well, as you see, none of it has even made a dent because they went out there today winless against the Dallas Cowboy team that is totally defenseless, which came in banged up on the offensive line with injuries galore. Injuries at wide receiver, injuries at running back, injuries at along the offensive line, and we know what kind of defense they have and what they've done to their defense this year. And what happened? Well, the Jets rocketed out to a 3-0 lead, and then watched as the Cowboys put 30 on them. That's right, 30 consecutive points. And draw a line, folks. You got to learn where to draw the line in these NFL games. You draw that line at 30-3. I don't care what happens after that. Don't show me any Jet stats after that. Don't show me what Fields' final numbers are. Show me what it looks like at 30-3 because the game is over at that point, and I don't care what happens after that moment. What meaningless yardage is gained, what meaningless points are scored. The bottom line is the Jets were completely non-competitive again, and now at 0-5, they are starting to look like one of the worst Jet additions. Now just think how much territory this takes in. They have a chance in Glenn's first year to be one of the worst Jet teams in history. Think about how unbelievable that is, how historic it is, because that takes in so much ground to be one of the worst Jet teams. You have to knock a lot of teams off the ledge to be one of the worst Jet teams of all time. This team is past bad. They are putrid. And if Aaron Glenn thinks he can threaten professional players into playing better, if he thinks he can cut a guy a week and they're going to play better, he can call up every winning coach he's ever met. He can call Bill. He can call Jimmy Johnson. He can call Tony Dungy. He can call anybody he wants. It's not going to help him get his team to play better. They are so bad right now. It doesn't even calculate at even strength. They are just non-competitive. When they are playing what you consider to be basic offense, okay, in the NFL, they are maybe the worst offensive team in the NFL at that juncture. Don't tell me what they did late in the game. Don't tell me how they padded their stats late. This team is non-competitive, and it isn't even remotely competitive defensively. This is going to get worse, not better. And he's going to tell you, oh, yeah, they went through it in their first. This team was not. He did not inherit a team that was completely bereft of talent. It's not true. This team last year won games, disappointed mightily, but blew 4 or 5 games because they were the worst coached team I thought that I would ever see. We're starting to get to a different level here because this is not working. The tough guy routine is not working. The idea that you think you can threaten these professional players, they will quit on you so fast if they haven't already. And today they started to look like they did. I don't care that they padded some stats. Yes, the offensive guys will always pad stats late because stats is what they live by. That's the only thing that keeps them going is to find the end zone or to make a couple of catches or to throw a couple of TD passes or run one in. At least they feel like they're alive in a team that is so bad. It is disgraceful. And they are going now at 0-5 to play a Denver team that today came from 17-3 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Eagles. Heck of a matchup across the pond. So the Jets are going to London Tuesday. Beware, London. You want to make sure to get there early to make sure you get to see a piece of this team before they are disintegrated by the Broncos next weekend. Because it's hard to fathom what a riled up Denver team might do to them and show no mercy as a young, up and coming team that's starting to believe it can have a say in the postseason this year. No, not the Jets, the Broncos, because the Broncos are a real team and they have a real coach. And I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to be a real coach or not. Like I said, you can't throw a coach out in his first year. But you know what? The way things are going, Glenn's going to make it tempting. We're starting to reference Kotite. Do you realize, does Aaron Glenn realize what we are bumping into, what we are approaching when you start to bring up Kotite and the Kotite Jets? That's how bad this has become. They're actually not worth any more words. They just stink to high heavens. Now to the Giants. Last week, the Dart Magic. Okay. He steps in, he wins, he runs, they win, they all smile, everything's rosy, right? Except they lose a superb player in Neighbors. Now, before we get to the game today, can somebody please explain to me how an organization, how a general manager and his staff can lose one of the premier weapons at wide receiver in the sport? A guy who probably consumes somewhere around 30% or more of their targets. A guy who every bit of the opponent's coverage is directed and slanted at covering him and keeping him from making a big play. Okay. So to say his loss is daunting would be an understatement, right? You're going to do everything you can to try to fill that void for your young quarterback. So what did they do? They didn't add a wide receiver to the roster. You heard me right. They did not add a wide receiver. Are they trying to get fired? Are they trying just to get thrown out the door? You didn't add a wide receiver? I understand he can't be, you can't find someone to duplicate his abilities, but you did not think it was necessary to maybe supplement the position so that later in the game when you had a wide receiver down, you're basically running tight ends. And once they figured out early in the game that the young quarterback was going to throw the ball to his buddy, the tight end, and they took that away, there was nowhere else to go. Now, the Dart Magic actually lasted a game and 18 minutes of playing time into the second quarter, where they actually had the Giants actually had a 14-3 lead. You had to pinch yourself, especially when you realized that they scored touchdowns on their first two drives of the game, something that the Giants had not accomplished in 5 years. 5 years since they had done that. So we are now in giddy land, okay? We are now in rarefied territory. This is now turning into something, pinch me. Can this be real? I mean, he's thrown 2 touchdown passes and the game is just beginning. And you're playing an 0-4 team that has no clue how to win with a new coach and a quarterback who's never won. And you wake up later and those Saints have riddled you for 23 straight points. And you have become the first team to turn the ball over 5 straight times, 5 straight possessions in 9 years. Realizing the team that had done that, drum roll, come on. It can only be one team, the last team to have done that. Before the Giants, can you name me the last team that had actually, it was 9 years ago, that had actually turned it over on 5 straight possessions? Almost inconceivable in the NFL. Yes, the Jets. Hey, there's nothing like New York football, okay? The Jets were the last team to do it. So here you have the Giants today, and the clock kinda struck 12, okay? First of all, the Giants have a coverage mistake to the tune of 87 yards and a touchdown. Then, of course, okay, they start turning the ball over. Unforced errors. Scatterboo turns it over and it's run back the other way. And the Giants were moving the ball. But remember, they're playing the 0-4 Saints. Everybody moves the ball on the Saints. So let's not get excited about moving the ball. Let's try to see if we could maybe hold on to the ball. But Dart found out today what young quarterbacks always find out. If I throw it late, it gets picked off. If I throw it up for grabs, it gets picked off. And if I'm going to run around all the time, there are times I'm going to get knocked silly, and there are times I'm going to fumble the football. So 5 turnovers later, and a good call, one of the rare good calls that the Giants actually make. They set up a flea flicker, and they have the receiver behind the defense, and Dart underthrows it. All right. Hey, it's the second game. We have to expect things like that. But did we have to get them all in one game? You know there's gonna be we know that Scatterboo's gonna put it on the ground. Did it have to be today? We know that Dart's gonna put it on the ground. Did it have to be today? We know that Dart's gonna throw picks. Did they all have to be today? Well, add them up, 5 in a row, and the next thing, the Giants are 1-4 instead of being 2-3. And this game would have allowed them. First of all, can you imagine how Dart would have been after 2 straight wins? I mean, come on. Let's just say he doesn't lack for awareness and confidence, okay? But instead, they are 1-4, and the Eagles are Thursday off a loss. And then a trip to Denver, which will be nothing like the trip to New Orleans. And then, hey, a trip to Philly, just so they show you that Philly's down there, and that won't be a lot of fun. On top of that, when the wounds heal from Thursday night with the Eagles, and then a trip to Denver and a trip to Philly, the Niners, who just keep winning no matter how many players you knock out of the lineup, are next. Then the Bears, who can score. They're not very good defensively, but neither are the Giants. And maybe they win that game, maybe they don't. But if they don't, then come the Packers, and then come the Lions. And you're looking at, I think, to be fair, At best, you're looking at 2-10. At worst, you're looking at 1-11, and that should be enough that everyone understands we go into December and everyone realizes that the Giants are cleaning house. Because I can tell you right now, it's time to clean house. Dart's going to be here. Scatterboo's going to be here. Johnson's going to be here. Your very talented wide receiver will be back once he mends. They still need to get better in a lot of spots. The pass rush was nowhere to be found today when they needed it. They made big mistakes on both sides of the ball. And again, hey, if you don't win games, and they're not going to win games, why would you think about going forward? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. You're going forward with Dart, and I don't know if Dart's going to be great or just be okay. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. We see some good things. He's going to have to learn to protect himself better, or he's going to get hurt. And today, he looked like every other rookie quarterback we've ever seen, barring a couple, the special ones. Maybe now they'll stop comparing to the Mahomes, which is silly. You know he's going to make some mistakes, and he made a bundle today. And you know that they're all going to make their mistakes. That's what young players do. I like some of these young players. And Dart's at least feisty. And I would think by tomorrow, Cincinnati's going to be on the phone asking for one of the two quarterbacks, whether it's Jameis, I don't know, or if it's Wilson, which would be all the better. Bengals are usually pretty frugal, though. I don't know if they're going to be willing to pick up a lot of that salary. He is guaranteed $10 million this year. I don't, Bengals usually, they throw money around very, very sparingly. But they need a quarterback because their backup quarterback is just not doing anything, and those wide receivers are going to revolt. If they haven't already, they probably already have today. This was a bad, bad performance after the first quarter. And after a 14-3 lead against a team that was 0-4, that didn't get down on itself today when it was 0-4. Remember, they're 0-4. And they don't believe in their quarterback, and they have a new coach, and they're 0-4, and they played with some spirit today. And they put up 23 unanswered points, and they won the game going away. And got their W. Giants got theirs last week. All right, they got their win. So they're not going to lose them all, but they're going to lose a whole bunch. Eagles, Denver, Eagles, Niners, Bears, Packers, Lions. Not a fair schedule, but hey, that's what's stacked up, and that's what's coming. Then it's the Pats. Washington is a different team if they have Daniels. You can see that even today. Then the Vikes. Then the Raiders, who are terrible. And the Cowboys, who knows what shape they're going to be in then. Bottom line is, it's going to be a very long season. Dak will give you a reason to watch if he can stay healthy. I don't think he can salvage this regime's jobs, nor should he. We've seen enough. The Jets is year one. So if you think you've seen enough, get ready for more. This team is just pitiful. So New York football on an early October Sunday just showed you what the future holds for the rest of this season. And it couldn't be more downtrodden. One team's 0-5, the other one's on its way to probably 0 and 1-11 or 2-10. And that's the one with some hope right now. The other one's 0-5, going on 0-6, and looking like it's not too long before the players who are listening to the rants of the head coach and watching him cut players when they fumble the ball. You know what? They're gonna ask soon, "What do we do to the coaches who don't do the job right?" Because he's got a big hand in why this team is dreadful, and it is nothing short of dreadful. And New York football is nothing short of unwatchable, and we haven't even hit Columbus Day. We'll see you later.